Imagine this. You've been running, chasing, pushing, convinced that more effort will finally unlock the life you want. Yet deep down, you feel it. Something isn't adding up. The harder you try, the heavier it gets, like shouting into a microphone that only feeds back static. What if I told you the universe doesn't respond to how loud you scream, but to the signal you're broadcasting underneath? It's not effort that bends reality, it's resonance. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop forcing is the moment the field begins to listen. Now pause and notice. Your body is already giving you clues. That tight chest before a decision, that jaw clenched in silence, that restless night of looping thoughts. These aren't failures, they're messages. Messages that your inner Wi-Fi is dropping and the connection you're trying so hard to stabilize is being scrambled by noise. But here's the twist. When you shift the frequency inside, even by 2%, reality shifts outside instantly. Not slowly, instantly. In the next few minutes, you're not just going to hear concepts, you're going to experience practices that reset your system in real time. Simple enough to do in traffic, in meetings, even in bed when sleep runs away. And as you listen, you'll see that the truth hidden in plain sight is this: safety isn't the reward, it's the key. Once you unlock it, everything else, clarity, decisions, connection, falls into place. Many people grow up believing that more effort equals more results, but reality has a subtler rhythm. Imagine two runners, one pushing every stride with clenched fists and shallow breaths, the other moving with steady rhythm, conserving energy by syncing breath and step. The first burns out quickly, while the second keeps going, not because of tension, but because of resonance with his own body. This simple comparison already dismantles the illusion that force is the ultimate driver of progress. Effort alone is noisy. Resonance is signal. Think about the seed planted in the soil. The impatient gardener digs it up daily, needing proof of growth, suffocating the sprout before it has a chance. That same gardener, if patient, waters it gently, shields it from harsh winds, and trusts the unseen process underground. Which one actually gets results? The analogy is almost embarrassingly clear. Control and anxiety kill potential, while steady care and trust allow it to flourish. Life mirrors this law with uncanny accuracy, whether we're growing plants, businesses, or inner peace. Let me share Marina's story. She used to repeat affirmations endlessly before meetings, convinced that sheer repetition would shift her reality. Yet she always left drained, overthinking every word she had said. When she replaced that habit with quick micro-resets, just 60 seconds of breathing and tuning into her body, she reported sharper decisions, calmer moods, and even better humor in tense negotiations. It wasn't about doing more, it was about tuning the signal. Her Wi-Fi stopped dropping and people noticed. Here's a practice you can test immediately. 3 cycles of the 6-2-4 rhythm. Inhale for 6, hold for 2, exhale for 4. While doing it, ask one simple question. What does my body need right now to feel 2% safer? That's it. Don't look for fireworks. Just notice. Sometimes the answer is as small as lowering your shoulders, sipping water, or adjusting your seat. These micro-adjustments are not trivial. They recalibrate your internal frequency faster than hours of forcing affirmations. To measure progress, don't rely on perfection. Use a scale from 0 to 10. How safe do I feel right now? If your score moves up by 2 points after the exercise, that's advancement. From a 6 to an 8 is enough. From a 3 to a 5 is also victory. Growth doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. By honoring these incremental shifts, you reinforce trust with your body, and that trust becomes a reservoir of energy available when you need it most. And let's be honest, forcing yourself into change is like screaming at bad Wi-Fi. The more you yell, the slower the signal seems to get. Resonance, on the other hand, works like positioning the router in the right place. Suddenly the connection stabilizes and the flow becomes effortless. You don't have to grind through endless repetitions. You just need to align your inner hardware with the frequency that already exists. That's when clarity replaces noise. Now, here's the catch. Without resonance, your internal Wi-Fi drops. You might think you're broadcasting clear intentions, but the signal is scrambled before it reaches the field. In the next part, we'll see how the body itself functions like an antenna, absorbing, amplifying, or distorting the very signal you're trying to send. Because if your router isn't on, how can you expect the connection to hold? Think of your body as the most powerful antenna you'll ever own. Just like Wi-Fi gets blocked by thick walls, your inner signal weakens when muscle tension, shallow breathing, or a locked jaw stand in the way. These invisible barriers reduce clarity in the same way walls interrupt a wireless connection. But when you open physical doors, relaxing your jaw, lengthening the breath, loosening the shoulders, the signal travels farther, cleaner, sharper. Suddenly, what felt heavy begins to lighten and clarity seeps back in. Try this as a demonstration. Take 60 seconds to scan 3 simple points: the jaw, the shoulders, and the diaphragm. Notice if your teeth are clenching without you realizing, if your shoulders are creeping toward your ears, or if your belly feels locked. Then, apply small releases. Induce a yawn, shrug your shoulders up high and drop them, or let out a long exhale with sound. These micro-releases act like boosting your antenna's range. Each small reset amplifies your signal, turning static into resonance. A real example, Davi, a young designer, constantly struggled with shaky hands before pitching his ideas. He thought it was anxiety he couldn't control. But by doing this somatic scan before every presentation, he noticed an immediate shift: warmer hands, calmer voice, steadier focus. The tremor faded, not because the stakes lowered, but because his body finally signaled safety. It wasn't mystical. It was simple biology tuned into resonance. His antenna finally picked up the right channel. Here's a practical checkpoint you can use: warmer hands and wider peripheral vision. If your palms feel icy and your eyesight is tunneled, your antenna is restricted. But if your hands warm and your awareness expands sideways, that's your body broadcasting safety. You don't need sophisticated tech to measure resonance. Your nervous system is giving you real-time feedback. Learn to read it, and you'll see how quickly the quality of your signal shifts. The biggest trap here is expecting fireworks, a mystical sensation that proves it's working. That expectation itself creates noise. The goal isn't transcendence, it's feeling a little better, a little safer, a little clearer. Even a 2% upgrade in resonance changes the way your signal moves through the field. It's the difference between a phone call full of static and one where every word lands clearly. Ordinary improvements stack into extraordinary transformations. Anchoring phrase: the signal rises when the body lowers its guard. Keep this as a reminder. When you relax the unnecessary armor, you amplify your range. Instead of wasting energy in inner battles, you redirect it into creativity, decision-making, and presence. Like tuning a guitar string: too tight and it snaps, too loose and it buzzes. The right balance hums with clarity. And here's the key: once the antenna is working, you can carry this signal with you anywhere. But what happens when stress hits suddenly and you don't have 60 seconds to reset? In the next part, we'll explore the idea of a portable anchor, a discreet gesture combined with breath and words that acts like your personal shortcut to resonance, even in the middle of chaos. A portable anchor is like carrying a personal reset button in your pocket. It combines a simple gesture, a short breath cycle, and a brief phrase into a shortcut your nervous system recognizes. Think of it as your own airplane mode switch: discreet, quick, and always available. You don't need elaborate rituals. You need something small enough to use in the middle of a meeting, a crowded bus, or even during a tense conversation. The power lies in repetition, teaching the body that this signal equals safety. Start with the gesture. Choose something no one else will notice, pressing your thumb lightly on your sternum, touching your wrist, or interlocking your fingers under the desk. Pair it with 2 cycles of 6-2-4 breathing, inhaling for 6, holding for 2, exhaling for 4. Then, silently repeat a short phrase. It's safe to slow down 2%. That's it. This trifecta, gesture, breath, phrase, becomes the encoded message your body decodes instantly as calm. Take Leah's story as proof. She was a teacher constantly criticized by parents and administrators. Her old habit was to react defensively, often regretting her sharp tone later. But when she practiced her anchor, she found that those extra 10 seconds of clarity changed everything. Instead of snapping, she responded with measured words. Her authority grew, and conflicts diminished. She didn't change her circumstances, she changed her state. That's the silent power of anchoring. Think of it like toggling airplane mode on your phone. When notifications bombard you, one button silences the noise, preserving your focus. Each time you use the anchor, you're hitting pause on inner notifications, suspending interference long enough to return to signal. And just as a phone reconnects better after being reset, your nervous system reboots, syncing faster to resonance after each anchor moment. Here's how to train it. Don't wait for chaos. Practice your anchor in neutral moments, waiting for water to boil, standing in an elevator, or sitting quietly before bed. Each repetition strengthens the neural association, gesture plus breath plus phrase, safety. When stress arrives, the anchor is already coded, ready to run like an app in one tap. Without practice, it won't launch when you need it most. You'll know it worked when you feel a spontaneous sigh, a release in your shoulders, or an unforced drop in your jaw. These micro shifts are the body's way of confirming the message landed. One common mistake, however, is trying to use the anchor to control other people. Remember, its purpose isn't to manipulate external behavior, it's to regulate your inner state. When you hold your calm, the field adjusts on its own, and once your anchor is in place, what's the next step? Directing the signal. Because resonance alone is only half the game. The question becomes, how do you focus that state to unlock energy and turn clarity into action? That's where the next piece enters, using focus like a flashlight to illuminate the exact path forward without getting lost in the dark. Focus works like a flashlight in a dark room. Wherever you point it, that area lights up while the rest fades into shadow. Most people waste energy shining the beam everywhere, asking, how do I fix everything at once? That question drains more than it solves. The wiser move is to shift the inquiry. What's the smallest next step that reduces friction? It's not about solving the entire puzzle at once. It's about unlocking the first piece that makes the others easier. That's how energy unblocks. Here's a mini protocol in 3 acts. First, stabilize your state with 2 cycles of 6-4 breathing. Second, activate your somatic anchor, gesture plus phrase, reminding your body it's safe. Third, ask, what is the smallest next step that lowers this problem by 20%? This trifecta redirects scattered energy into targeted action. By simplifying the question, you disarm the mind's tendency to spiral into overwhelm. Energy flows where clarity guides it. Take Renan's case. He was an architect stuck for hours, perfecting the very first slide of a client pitch. His perfectionism froze progress. The more he pushed, the heavier it felt. Using the protocol, he anchored, breathed, and asked the new question. The answer surprised him. Write the final caption first. That one move unlocked momentum. He built the slide backward, finishing in record time. Clarity wasn't about force, it was about redirection. Another practical tool is the 90-second surf. When urgency spikes, heart racing, thoughts sprinting, set a timer and simply ride the wave. Watch how the intensity peaks and naturally subsides within a minute and a half. Pair this with steady breathing, and you'll notice the storm passes faster than expected. It's like surfing. Resist the wave and it throws you. Ride it with balance and it carries you back to shore. Energy conserved, clarity regained. Checkpoint for progress. Listen to your inner language. If your self-talk shifts from "everything is collapsing" to "this one thing I can handle," you've aligned your focus. That linguistic shift isn't trivial. It signals the nervous system's recalibration. From chaos to coherence, the flashlight narrows, and the next step reveals itself without force. This reframing is often enough to break paralysis. What's remarkable is how versatile this method is. Whether it's tackling work tasks, managing family conflicts, or handling financial stress, the sequence, breathe, anchor, question, scales across scenarios. It doesn't matter if the challenge is monumental or mundane. The process proves itself because the principle behind it is universal. Energy follows focus, and focus follows safety. Without safety, the flashlight flickers. With it, the beam sharpens. But what does this look like in the grind of daily life? Traffic jams, trigger messages, restless nights. In the next part, we'll take this protocol out of theory and drop it into 4 real-world scenarios where the difference between static and signal becomes immediately visible. Theory only sticks when it meets reality, so let's ground this method in everyday moments. First scenario, traffic. Stuck at a red light, frustration rising. The mind wants to scream at time itself. Instead, apply the anchor with your hands on the wheel, do 2 cycles of 6-2-4 and ask, what can I make more comfortable right now? Maybe it's adjusting the seat, changing to neutral music, or lowering your shoulders. Suddenly, traffic isn't an enemy. It becomes a training ground for resonance. Second scenario, a triggering message. You open your phone, see words that sting, and your chest tightens. Normally, you'd fire back a defensive reply. Instead, surf the urgency for 90 seconds, then ask, what is the verifiable fact here? Write your reply as a draft, but don't send it until after one more long exhale. Most times the draft changes or disappears altogether. This isn't suppression, it's signal over static, clarity over compulsion. Third scenario, a tough meeting. You walk in with a knot in your stomach and a racing heart. 1 minute before it starts, unclench your jaw, press your feet firmly into the floor, and whisper to yourself, I can speak slowly. If your heart rate spikes mid-conversation, ask for a quick water break. These micro-interventions keep your nervous system steady. They don't erase challenge, but they make sure you're not fighting on 2 fronts, both inside and outside. Fourth scenario, insomnia. Lying in bed, thoughts replay like broken records. Instead of forcing sleep, scan your body with gentle awareness, then use the 4-7-8 breath cycle for 3 rounds. If the mind refuses to settle, don't fight the sheets. Stand up, stretch lightly for 3 minutes, then return. Often this resets the loop. The goal isn't to control sleep, it's to invite safety back into the system. When the body feels safe, rest comes unforced. These scenarios show that the method isn't reserved for meditation cushions or retreats. It's portable, designed for the mess of daily life. Each micro-application trims static and turns chaos into coherence. The results aren't dramatic fireworks. They're subtle shifts. 2 fewer points of tension, 1 calmer decision, 1 less reactive response. Small, yes, but multiplied across days. They rewire how you live. Visualize this process as moving from noise to signal. In traffic, in messages, in meetings, in bed, you're training your system to recognize safety as a default, not an exception. The body learns through repetition, and repetition turns into identity. Over time, What once felt like survival mode becomes a quieter, steadier way of moving through the world. That's when the practice begins to reshape not just reactions, but patterns. But even in practice, mistakes sneak in. Doing too much, skipping training, confusing intensity for effectiveness. These errors are common traps, and without noticing, they can pull the system back into static. In the next part, we'll uncover these pitfalls and their antidotes, so the path to resonance stays clean, light, and sustainable. Every practice, no matter how simple, carries the risk of being overcomplicated. The first common mistake is the overdose of technique. People try to cram 20 steps when 2 would be enough. They chase complexity, believing more layers mean more progress. The antidote: return to the minimalist protocol. 2 cycles of breath, 1 anchor, 1 guiding question. Simplicity sustains, overload exhausts. The elegance of resonance is in doing less, not more. Another mistake: skipping training during calm moments and expecting the method to work under peak stress. It's like never rehearsing a song but expecting to perform flawlessly on stage. The body learns through repetition in neutrality, so the anchor is already coded when chaos hits. The antidote is simple but non-negotiable. 3 short trainings per day when life is quiet. These quiet reps build muscle memory. Then, when the storm comes, the system knows what to do. A third trap is measuring success by emotional spikes. People think, if I don't feel fireworks, it's not working. But resonance isn't about intensity, it's about returning to baseline. The signal of success is subtle. Warmer hands, longer breaths, a quieter jaw, simpler inner language. That's your Wi-Fi stabilizing, not exploding with special effects. The antidote is shifting the metric from peaks to returns, how quickly you come back to safety after stress. The fourth mistake is trying to weaponize the method against others. Using it to manipulate situations or control people corrodes the practice. Resonance was never designed for external control, it's for self-regulation. The antidote here is commitment. Every time you notice that urge, redirect inward. Mastery of self precedes influence. By steadying your own frequency, you impact the field naturally, without force, without games. To simplify this, here's a checklist of success. Do your hands feel warmer? Is your jaw softer? Is your breath longer? And are your thoughts simpler? If yes, you're aligned. If not, reset and return to the basics. These micro signs are more reliable than lofty expectations. They're the nervous system's way of saying, I got the message. Ignore them, and you'll miss the quiet proof that the practice is working. Think of Paula, a single mother juggling endless responsibilities. She used to lose her patience every morning with her children, shouting out of exhaustion. By applying the 80-20 principle, doing only the 20% of practice that delivered 80% of results, her mornings changed. 2 breaths, 1 anchor, 1 question. That was it. The result: less yelling, more presence. Her kids noticed before she did. Sometimes the smallest change shifts the whole environment. Yet habits don't solidify by chance, they need scaffolding. Without a structured plan, the practice risks dissolving into forgetfulness. That's why the next step is crucial, a 7-day protocol designed to embed resonance as a daily pattern, transforming it from experiment to lifestyle. Day 1 and 2 set the foundation. 3 micro resets of 60 to 90 seconds each, morning, midday, and night. After each, jot down in a journal a single line. What helped me feel 2% better? This practice builds awareness of subtle shifts and reinforces the idea that safety grows in increments, not leaps. It's not about radical breakthroughs, it's about planting seeds of consistency that the body starts to recognize as a pattern of care. On days 3 and 4, layer the somatic anchor into those same 3 windows. Gesture, breath, phrase, repeated consistently until the body knows it without effort. Then test it once in a light stress situation, perhaps replying to an email that carries a bit of tension or addressing a small conflict. The aim is calibration, not perfection. By challenging the anchor in low-stakes contexts, you strengthen it for the storms ahead. Day 5 raises the bar by adding the focus protocol. Breathe, anchor, then ask, what's the smallest next step? Apply it to one task you've been avoiding, writing a report, paying a bill, making a call. The emphasis is not on finishing, but on reducing friction by 20%. Momentum builds not from giant leaps, but from these small, targeted nudges that accumulate into motion. Day 6 moves into the night. Use the method against insomnia or restlessness. In bed, scan the body gently, then breathe using the 4-7-8 cycle for 3 rounds. If the mind refuses quiet, get up and stretch lightly for 3 minutes before returning. The point is not forcing sleep, but offering safety, so rest arrives naturally. By practicing at night, you extend resonance beyond daylight tasks into the recovery that fuels tomorrow. Day 7 is the simulation, a 3-minute rehearsal of a tough moment. Set a timer, imagine a high-stress trigger, and walk through the full protocol. Breath cycles, anchor, question, action. This training encodes readiness so that when reality hits, your system already has a map. Think of it as flight simulation for pilots. Safe practice makes real turbulence manageable. Stress no longer hijacks. It cues the body to apply the protocol. Simple metrics guide the week. Use a scale from 0 to 10 to rate your sense of safety. Note your hours of sleep and track how reactive or calm you felt in conversations. Small progress is the signal. Celebrate it with a physical reward, a walk, a stretch, or any gesture of acknowledgement. This bodily celebration ties success to joy, creating a positive loop that reinforces the practice. Remember this phrase as the seal of the week. Practice creates the state that creates reality. When repeated over 7 days, micro-resets stop being tools and start becoming traits. They integrate into your identity, building resonance not as an event, but as a lifestyle. From here, the path widens into meaning, identity, and mission, the layers where practice turns into purpose. So now the question isn't whether you understand the method, it's whether you'll apply it. Because knowledge without action is like having a full Wi-Fi signal, but never opening the browser. What would shift in your life if, instead of waiting for calm to arrive, you practiced creating it? Imagine 1 week from now, waking up with more energy, less reactivity, and a body that feels like an ally instead of a battlefield. That possibility is in your hands right now. Think back. Where do you lose the most energy? Traffic, work, family, or your own thoughts at night? Which of the practices would make the biggest dent today? Is it the anchor, the focus protocol, or the micro resets? Choose one, just one. Start there. Because consistency with a single tool will reshape you faster than dabbling in 20 techniques you never stick to. The smallest step, repeated, changes the largest patterns. And here's the challenge. Will you treat this as another video to consume or as the start of a new experiment with your own nervous system? You don't need perfection, you just need practice. Write in the comments which step you'll try first, anchor, breath, or focus, and let that public commitment pull you forward, because transformation rarely happens in silence. It happens when you declare your path and walk it. If this resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Someone in your circle is drowning in static right now, and your share could be the signal they've been waiting for. And make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because this journey isn't a single step. Each video is another piece of the map, another practice that builds coherence. Together, we're wiring safety back into the system. So I'll leave you with this. What would your life look like if safety wasn't something you chased, but something you carried? That's not just a question, it's an invitation.